Michael Popok, Legal AF. Did Judge Chutkan, D.C. Circuit Court, steal Fani Willis's date for a trial of Donald Trump by making it March 4th in the Jack Smith election interference case? Or was it all a coordinated effort with the judge calling other judges in order to set the date? I'm going to discuss that right here on this hot take, only one place, the MeidasTouch Network. Now, look, I've been saying for a long time on Legal AF, also on the MeidasTouch Network, that I saw the Judge Chutkan case in D.C. for election interference, Jack Smith's home court, the place he wants to pull a jury from, as the lead case now that all the rest have been filed among the four, and that she would soon exert her influence and Bigfoot the other judges and the other cases and demonstrate that she, Judge Chutkan, D.C. Circuit Court, with her case with Jack Smith, is, in her mind, and therefore really, really important that she believes it, the preeminent case against Donald Trump. And how do I know that? Because it was obvious that Jack Smith was backing off a bit, or using, if you will, the Mar-a-Lago case with Judge Cannon as a stalking horse against Donald Trump, not being the lead horse that he was really betting on, that being the D.C. Circuit Court, but using activities, pressurizing Donald Trump and his lawyers, pinning them down under heavy fire in motion practice down in Florida, while he continues to go on the attack and on the offense in his D.C. case where he's got the judge of choice, an Obama appointee, Judge Chutkan. This has all now come to a head in the trial date setting. Fani Willis, just a few days before the hearing on Monday with Judge Chutkan, said that she wanted March 4th for her date for Donald Trump and others. Now, Fani Willis had to then respond to at least two of the 19 co-conspirators along with Donald Trump, saying that they wanted, under a unique quirk of Georgia law, they wanted to go to trial in 60 days in October. That being Ken Chesbro and Sidney Powell of the half-baked law firm of Chesbro and Powell, who concocted the fake elector scheme with John Eastman and then tried to implement it in cases that went 0 and 70 around the nation. That Ken Chesbro, the one that wrote all the memos that showed that even he didn't believe that he had a constitutional basis for his argument to pressure Mike Pence. He is now going to trial, hell or high water, October 23rd, because that's what Georgia law says. If they don't pick a jury and start that trial, that case gets dismissed, the case against Powell and Chesbro. But Fani Willis isn't ready to give up yet on the March date, or hadn't been ready to do it until Judge Chutkan stepped in and said, I'm looking at my calendar. I don't like the January 2024 date that's being proposed by the government, but this April 2026 date is ridiculous. Judge went on to tell John Lauro for Donald Trump, this is not going to be a 2026 case. You don't need that much time. The amount of evidence that you're talking about is you're acting like your guy doesn't have any money. He's in papyrus that he's pro se. Your guy's got money, he's got tons of money. Put it towards putting people on the case to review the documents and information given to you by the Department of Justice. We're going to trial the day before Super Tuesday, and we're doing it on March the 4th. Now, the interesting twist here in the reporting is, as I expected, and what we talked about on Legal AF a few weeks ago, a judge has the right under the judicial ethics canons. Yes, judges are subject to judicial canons of conduct, just not the U.S. Supreme Court ones. And they, as part of administrating justice under Rule 1 and all the other rules of the criminal procedure, they have the power to run their own courtroom. They also have the power to pick up the phone and contact other judges involving the same defendant to coordinate trial dates. And that's exactly what Judge Chutkan did. We know it not from her chambers because she's a steel trap. We know it because a spokesperson for the New York court system revealed that last week, Judge Chutkan and Judge Merchan, Juan Merchan of the New York State Supreme Trial Court, had a conversation about Judge Merchan's March 2024 date about Stormy Daniels' hush money cover-up involving Donald Trump. And Judge Mershon, I am presuming, based on my artist rendering, said, "It is all yours, Judge Chutkan, proceed," because he recognizes that while Stormy Daniels' hush money cover-up is interesting under some arcane aspects of New York business law, the case that has to be tried before the election for the American people, right, who have an interest, who have a societal interest in seeing speedy trials go in public quickly, he yielded. We knew that was coming because there was an interview recently of Alvin Bragg, the prosecutor, who said he's willing, I'm out, I'm willing to yield. Letitia James, who's got the $250 million New York Attorney General case against Donald Trump, said, we're out, we'll go last. And that left March open. Understanding on the big calendar board, red letter dates for Donald Trump, besides all the primaries and Super Tuesday, he's got a May, at least on paper, 2024 date about Mar-a-Lago with Judge Cannon. He had a March date in New York with the prosecutor and the judge for Stormy Daniels. And Fani Willis was talking about March to slide in for hers, although now she's going to try to press everybody into October in her Georgia indictment to join Chesbrough and Powell, the lawyers less than extraordinaire, who are going to trial quickly to try to catch Fani Willis flat-footed. Note to Powell and Chesbrough, that's not going to go well for you. She's well prepared. Now, back to Judge Chutkan and my working hypothesis, my thought experiment is that Jack Smith is spreading out his eggs among multiple baskets, but the largest basket is with Judge Chutkan, who is acting, walking, and talking every bit like the lead federal judge handling cases involving Donald Trump, which moves Judge Cannon, the judge we are very concerned about down in Florida, into a receding and distant second and less important. And she's growing less important by the second, as the Mar-a-Lago case also gets a backseat to a federal judge, Chutkan, who had 30 cases of trial experience before she became a judge as a trial lawyer, has tried hundreds of cases, including dozens of Jan 6 cases as a DC Circuit Court judge. She had been considered to be on the short list for the appellate court for the federal circuit, which is a high honor and usually a fast track to a Supreme Court opening, and could be considered by Joe Biden, if he ever gets another pick, to be on the U.S. Supreme Court. That Tanya Chutkan, she, as I predicted, is exerting her influence and she is grabbing and seizing the historical moment, right, by both of her black-robed hands and dragging it into her courtroom, making her the center of Donald Trump's universe. Donald Trump's universe is no longer held center by himself. Judge Chutkan has entered the orbit, and she's bigger, she's badder, she has a greater gravitational pull than anything Donald Trump could ever generate now as the former 45. And we're seeing it in every day, in every way. The hearing that she conducted, setting John Lauro straight about what she was going to permit and what she wasn't going to permit. Her deft way of telling the defense, the Trump defense, I know what you said about me. I know what you did. I know what you did this summer. I know the things you said about the prosecutor. And I'm not going to put them on the record, right? But I'm going to tell you straight. You told me you want your client to be treated like any other defendant in my courtroom, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. His schedule has to yield to that of justice, and therefore he's going to have to make himself available despite all the other political and legal activities in his life in this courtroom for March 4th of 2024. And that's after she spoke to at least Judge Mershon up in New York to get him to, from a professional courtesy standpoint, yield the floor to Judge Chutkan. It is quite possible, although not yet reported, that Judge Chutkan's chambers also called Judge McAfee, the state court judge in Fulton County, Judge Jones, the federal judge, an Obama appointee in Atlanta, Northern District of Georgia, and perhaps even Judge Cannon in Miami, in the Southern District of Florida, in Fort Pierce Division, to tell her what She might have, I don't think she convened a conference call, but she could have had individual calls to lobby them or to impress upon them that she was the new sheriff and she was in charge. And everybody else is just a bit player when it comes to the trial calendar for Donald Trump, which is exactly what Jack Smith wanted. Kudos to Jack Smith. He brought a 4-count, 1 defendant case, and that defendant is Donald Trump. And he's driving that point home that is the only possible case that can go to trial and that needs to go to trial for democracy, but well before the election. And he's got a judge that agrees with him. And ultimately, he's going to have a jury that I believe is going to agree with him too. This is Michael Popok for Legal AF, only on the MeidasTouch Network, doing hot takes just like this one about every hour, if not every day, at the intersection of U.S. law and politics. An intersection that Judge Chutkan mentioned throughout her hearing to set the trial about the intersection of law and politics, and saying that intersection was not going to get in the way of her setting a speedy trial in this case. And that was echoed by the government, right? Who argued, the lawyer for the government, for the Department of Justice, argued, you got to go quick here, Judge, not only because witnesses' memories fade over time, not only because witnesses become unavailable, but look what he's doing in social media. And he's influencing improperly the jury. And you got to go fast here. And the judge agreed ultimately, although she did it for her own reasons, in that. I'm going to follow these things at the intersection of law and politics in one place. MeidasTouch Network. You like what I'm doing? Go on the YouTube channel for MeidasTouch. Free subscribe. Go over to playlists. Slide down to Michael Popok. My entire body of work, my entire library of hot takes is sitting right there on Wednesdays and Saturdays. If you like hot takes, who doesn't like hot takes? I'm already hungry talking about it. You're going to love what we do on Wednesdays and Saturdays, a long format podcast called Legal AF. I co-founded and co-anchored it. I do it on Wednesdays. I do it on Saturdays with 2 other co-anchors, Karen Friedman-Ignifilo, Ben Meiselas. It's like a hot take, except there's 2 of us. And we're debating and we're arguing, but we're explaining and we're not blowing smoke or sunshine. Help the ratings of this content. Give me a thumbs up. Helps with the algorithm. And you can follow me, Michael Popok, on all things social media at MS Popok. Until the next hot take, this is Michael Popok, Legal AF.
Hey, Meidas Mighty. Love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.